I asked you last week at Scottish Questions about our ongoing work in promoting Scotland internationally, and you gave us a positive response about, both governments working well together. And I think what we found as a committee in our visits, and I know Minister Lamont was in New York the same time as us, is this has seemed to be pretty constructive and worked quite well together. And I think it was characterised to us as that what the Scottish Government does is give added value and helps promote Scotland internationally. So it wasn't a rather clumsy letter from the Foreign Secretary when he got in touch with the Cabinet Secretary in Scotland, laying down new guidelines, which almost seemed like it's unnecessary and seemed to be provocative. Surely that wasn't helpful at all in getting this joint working, because we're trying to be constructive today about seeing what we could do about working together, not using language which is inflammatory, making sure we set the parameters for good working arrangements, but that didn't seem to go down particularly well at all in terms of joint working, did it?
Well, it didn't go down very well with old Airmiles Angus for a very good reason, and that's because he took offence at us calling him out for visiting governments and talking to them about leaving, in matters we know are reserved, the Constitution and foreign affairs, talking about our relationship towards Brexit, our relationship with other countries, about the Scottish Government leaving the United Kingdom, talking about straying into territories of the Constitution and foreign affairs. And we don't think that our high commissions, our embassies, our consulates should be used for that purpose. We believe the United Kingdom infrastructure, those missions, should be used for the Scottish Government to promote trade and other things, and culture and other things, as we've agreed. All the devolved areas we have no problem, but once you go into the reserved areas and start talking about those, then we take exception to it. And I completely agree with the letter that the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, FCDO, sent the Foreign Secretary.
I was just going to quote something to you from Henry McLeish, who was the minister that got this 1998 Scotland Act through, and obviously is very much aware of some of the inclusions and all that. What he said, he described that letter as political control and coercion, and asked that the Foreign Secretary should withdraw. He's got a point, isn't he? I mean, this is somebody who helped design the whole of the Scotland Act framework and is very much aware of what the responsibilities governments have. And he's asking for that. Surely that's quite serious.
So I saw that those comments by Henry McLeish. I think he got himself into a muddle, to be quite frank. It's very clear what the... And the Foreign Secretary made it very clear in his letter. We want to work with the Scottish Government and other devolved administrations to promote areas that are devolved, but not to facilitate straying into areas that are reserved. As I say, the Constitution,
the one example
Brexit,
I think we heard was
undermining our... Just to be clear, sorry, Mr. Chair, I should be clear. When these meetings are taking place and we have representatives from the Foreign Office in the meetings, and discussions are taking place to undermine the UK's position on Brexit and other parts of foreign affairs, or to discuss the breakup of the United Kingdom, that's where we take exception. As simple as that. Everything else, we want to facilitate it and we want to work together.
Could you perhaps, and I know Lord Offord wants to come in this, but could you perhaps give us a detail about all these conversations and where any unhappiness has been raised? Could you do that?
All I would say...
If you could write to the committee on that basis.
What I would say is that you should speak to the Foreign Office on this, but I won't today discuss the detail of what I've seen, but I have seen many examples, and there was a sort of an indication given in November that needed to stop, and it was ignored, and it actually got worse, and there were 5 or 6 other examples brought to light to the Secretary of State.
Would you be able to write to the committee
and myself, but I'm just going to say, of transgressions of what we thought was the right position, and that's when the letter went. And I feel it was the right letter. It was. I saw the letter. I absolutely approved of the content of that letter, and despite what Henry McLeish may say, because I think it's wrong for us to facilitate using our embassies and high commissions, members of devolved administrations, to then go meet foreign government ministers and undermine our foreign policy, which is what they were doing. And that had to stop. And that's all we're asking to stop, nothing else.
It's just so disappointing.
Entirely reasonable.
Yeah, thank you. Just so disappointing because of the tone and tenor of what we found in this committee, that things are working well together, and all that did was...
It doesn't work well together when a minister turns up from a devolved administration and undermines the position of the UK government. And actually, if you speak to consuls and ambassadors from countries like France and Spain and say to them, how would you feel if we facilitated, the UK government facilitated meetings for the Catalans in Westminster, or your embassy did that, or your embassy, the French embassy facilitated where there's 60% for separation in Corsica, for the Corsicans to come and meet UK government ministers. I don't think President Macron would take a very, I think he might take a dim view.
Okay, well, you're going to write to the committee with these examples.
I haven't said I am.
Well, if you could please write to the committee.
Well, I'll see what of the communiques that I have, because there is a piece where it cuts into the Foreign Office's rules, but I will discuss with the Foreign Office's rules what I can share with you.
Thank you.